Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is November 30th, 2023, and Barcelona are reportedly negotiating with two investors for Barca Studios. Also, Bayern Munich have intensified their talks or their interest in our captain Ronald Araujo. And finally, Frankie De Jong has reportedly agreed to negotiate with Barcelona his contract extension. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and as I mentioned in that video that I posted earlier today, this is the second video because I do have a lot of news to share with you since I didn't post videos these past 2 days. Now, having said that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. All of this helps the small and humble channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kit bag. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you hit the Bet Us. Both links are down below in the description. Now, I'll begin with the news that Barcelona are reportedly negotiating with two new investors for the sale of Barca Studios. Now, as you already know, Barcelona entered into agreement with the German investment fund Libero for the partial sale of Barca Studios. And so far, Libero have failed to pay Barcelona the 40 million euros agreed upon in that contract or sale contract. And it's reported that Barcelona have given the German fund a final deadline of December 15th, which if Libero does not pay the 40 million euros they owe Barcelona by then Barcelona will cancel the contract and sell that shares that Libero bought for a different investor. Now, Barcelona are heavily counting on those 40 million euros because it's part of Barcelona's budget for this year, and Barcelona will need it for things like registering Gavi's contract or even registering Vitor Roque's contract. So Barcelona really need to make that 40 million euros, otherwise they're going to be severely handicapped by the financial fair play rules. So it's reported that Barcelona are currently negotiating with two new investors, and if Libero does not pay the money by December 15th, then Barcelona will sell the Barca Studios to one of these investors. Now, we don't know the names of these investors and we don't know who these investors are, but what we do know is that Barcelona are exploring every possible option in case Libero does not pay the money they owe Barcelona by the December 15th deadline. Now, on to the news that Barcelona are set to play a critical match in the race for La Liga against Atletico de Madrid on Sunday, and there are currently doubts on whether Ter Stegen will be able to start in that match. Now, Ter Stegen picked up a back injury during training with Germany in the international FIFA break, and even though it was initially thought that that injury was not a serious one and that Ter Stegen would be back by the time the FIFA international break ends, so far the German goalkeeper has missed two matches against Rayo Vallecano and against Porto in the Champions League, and it looks like he could miss a third match because Barcelona are not ruling out Ter Stegen missing the match against Atletico de Madrid. Now, I'm not too worried about Ter Stegen's injury because after all, Iñaki Peña has been doing a good job guarding Barcelona's net. But of course, I would love to see Ter Stegen back. But for now, I wish him a speedy recovery. And I hope that he takes his time to fully heal because the last thing we need is for him to rush his comeback, then eventually getting injured longer. So Ter Stegen, if you can hear this, please take your time, heal, because after all, our goal is in good hands under Iñaki Peña. Now, speaking of injuries, one player who will be part of the squad against Atletico de Madrid this upcoming weekend is Sergi Roberto, who has been given the green light by Barcelona's doctors and who's now been declared fit to play. So this only leaves two players on the injury list, which are Ter Stegen and of course Gavi, who will miss the rest of the season. But the great news is that Barcelona have reported that Gavi has undergone a successful injury on his torn ACL, and he was discharged from the hospital today. So this is great news for Barcelona, as Gavi has successfully completed his surgery and now will enter the recovery phase. And it's reported that Barcelona now have an expected return for Gavi, and they're hoping that Gavi will be fully fit by July's preseason. That way he can be ready for the 2024-2025 season. Now, while we're still discussing injury news, it's reported that Barcelona have now received a more detailed report of Ansu Fati's injury, who picked up an injury while on loan with Brighton. Now, as I reported in a previous video, Barcelona were worried because Brighton had not announced what kind of injury Ansu Fati had received and how long he was going to be out. But finally, the reports are in. It's reported that Ansu Fati will miss between 6 to 8 weeks from playtime after picking up that injury in the Premier League. Now, Ansu Fati was seen today in the city of Barcelona, leaving the Ciudad Esportiva Sporting Complex, because it seems that the Spanish player will undergo part of his recovery in the city of Barcelona, with the other part being spent in England. And I would like to wish Ansu Fati a speedy recovery, who unfortunately suffered this injury after his career was starting to pick up at Brighton, where he has played a total of 14 matches and scored 4 goals and provided 1 assist. Now on to the great news that Barcelona have made important headway in renewing the contract of the best female football player in the world, and our own captain, Alexia Putellas. Now, Alexia Putellas' contract is set to expire in the summer of 2024, and it's reported that the best female player in the world has requested a 1.5 million euro contract from Barcelona. However, Barcelona informed the player that they weren't going to be able to pay that much money, so Alexia Putellas has reduced her ask to 1 million euros, which is reported that Barcelona have agreed to. So the two parties are currently continuing negotiations, and it seems that Barcelona are very close to renewing the contract of one of the best female players in the history of football. And speaking of contract renewals, it's reported that Frankie De Jong has agreed to negotiate his contract extension with Barcelona. Now, Frankie De Jong's contract expires in the summer of 2026, and he's currently the highest paid player in Barcelona and the highest paid player in the Spanish league. As I reported before, Barcelona were hoping to extend Frankie De Jong's contract, not only to guarantee the stay of one of their most important players in the midfield, but also to try to negotiate a salary deferral and a salary reduction, because Barcelona right now cannot afford the salary of the Dutch midfielder. Now, Barcelona's plan is to add 3 more years to Frankie De Jong's contract, so until 2029, with Frankie De Jong accepting a salary deferral during the first 3 years of that new contract, and then accepting to a salary reduction during the final 3 years of his contract, where Barcelona would pay him the salary that he agreed to defer during the first half, and where Barcelona also want to protect and shield Frankie De Jong from other clubs by giving him an incredibly high release clause, probably a 1 billion euro release clause, like other important players that Barcelona have, such as Gavi, Ronald Araujo, and Pedri. Now, Deco has been in communications with Frankie De Jong and his entourage, because after all, Frankie De Jong was hesitant to sit down with Barcelona and negotiate after the club tried to force his exit 2 summers ago. But it's reported that the relationship between Deco and Frankie De Jong are much better than the relationship between Frankie De Jong and Matteo Alemany, who's the one who tried to push the player out. So it's reported that Frankie De Jong has now agreed to sit down with Deco and negotiate his contract. But of course, we don't know what he will agree to. All we know is that he's willing to listen to the club, which is, of course, a positive move forward. And speaking of important players, it's reported that Bayern Munich are extremely interested in Ronald Araujo, and they have intensified their interest in the Uruguayan defender, where they are currently trying to communicate to the player and his entourage their strong interest and hopefully their offer for him to join the Bundesliga club. Now, Barcelona's stand on Ronald Araujo is extremely clear. They consider him an untouchable player, a player who's not for sale no matter what the price is. So if Bayern Munich want to sign Ronald Araujo, they will have to pay his release clause of 1 billion euros, which is the only way that Barcelona would be getting rid of Ronald Araujo. And even then, I highly doubt that Ronald Araujo would want to leave the Bayern Munich, because after all, he has expressed his total satisfaction of being a Barcelona player and also a Barcelona captain. And speaking of Bayern Munich and German players, we now know the official price for Florian Wirtz, who has been linked to Barcelona on several occasions. Now, Florian Wirtz is a 20-year-old attacking midfielder who's currently shining with Bayer Leverkusen. And it's reported that Deco and Xavi are huge fans of the player, and the player has also expressed his huge interest in playing in Barcelona. But as I've mentioned many times in previous videos, there's no way that Barcelona could sign Florian Wirtz, and more so now that we know his official price, which Bayer Leverkusen will be asking for this upcoming summer. Now, it's reported that Bayer Leverkusen will want 120 million euros for Florian Wirtz, which again completely puts the player out of reach for Barcelona. And it's reported that Bayern Munich are currently in negotiations to sign Wirtz, with other clubs such as Real Madrid also interested in the player. But again, as I've said it many times before, despite the media constantly linking Florian Wirtz with Barcelona, this is simply a dream that's not gonna come to fruition. Now we will end today's video with the news that it's been revealed that Messi had asked Pep Guardiola to join Manchester City after losing to Bayern Munich 8-2. Now we all recall that extremely depressing day where Barcelona lost to Bayern Munich 8-2 in the Champions League. And it's reported that after that, Lionel Messi picked up the phone and called Pep Guardiola, asking him to join Manchester City because he felt extremely disappointed and betrayed by the Barcelona president at the time, Josep Maria Bartomeu, and his board of directors. Now it seems that Lionel Messi even met with Pep Guardiola at Pep Guardiola's home to discuss the Argentinian joining the Premier League. And it seems that Pep Guardiola did agree to Messi joining Manchester City. However, he insisted on one condition, which is that Pep Guardiola wanted Lionel Messi first to completely cut any ties with Barcelona, because Pep Guardiola was not willing to steal such an important player away from the club. So the only way that Pep Guardiola was willing to sign on Messi is if he was a free agent and was not tied to Barcelona. So he told Messi that if he can figure out his contract situation, then he can join Manchester City. Otherwise, Pep Guardiola was not going to war with his home club. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.